And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicinda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard, and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic Content College of Content Creation. We do a lot of different things, but one of the things we do is really try to help create sustainable pathways for indie designers to get their games in print and out onto different tables. One of our favorite ways of doing that is participating in Zine Month, which is what we're here to talk about tonight. You're going to see a lot of Zine Month stuff over the next 2 months on our channel. We're going to talk specifically about what's happening with this year's Zine Month. We have the original organizer and still the person that everybody in the room looks to so that they don't get blamed whenever Zine Month decisions gets made. That's Charlie Ferguson Avery of Feral Indie Studios. Charlie, why don't you tell people a little about who you are and what you do, just in case people don't know you yet.
Fair enough. My name is Charles Ferguson Avery. I am a freelance illustrator and also one half of Feral Indie Studio. We make tabletop role-playing games, accessories, games, supplements, and books. That's pretty much it. And then during the month of Zine Month, I turn into an administrative ghost, and I help with the uploading of the site, promotion of various projects, and also participating in the discussions of where Zemo will be heading, especially now that we are coming up on its second year.
Awesome. I'm super excited to sit down. A couple questions from the chat. A lot of people are like, hey, I haven't caught one of the live streams in forever. We actually have been roughly on hiatus for about a month and a half. Colt's been pretty quiet. We've been pretty quiet for main streams. We're getting ready for PAX. So if you feel like you haven't seen us in a while or you just missed us, we have been a little bit light as we've had a lot of stuff going on here at Plus One as well. But we will have a video on demand. We actually stream cross-platform streams. This is going up on YouTube live, but I think I forgot to hit the public version, like make it public button, so it may be unlisted. I'll go check it immediately when we're done. But yes, there will be this video will be available in perpetuity afterwards for folks who can't join us live, have to dip out for part of it, any of that kind of stuff. We will. Also, if you've got questions specifically about Zine Month, go ahead and start sliding those into the chat. If there's things you want to know, things you're wondering about, let us know. One of the reasons we do this live is so that we can make sure we're answering questions, that we are accountable. And historically, I said I would not have said we, because last year I was a lot of people saw us do a lot of Zine Month content, and we helped promote Zine Month because we were big supporters of it. We were not on the organizing team. This year, Plus One is part of the organizing team, not Plus One. Tony Vicinda of Plus One EXP is on the team because in the same way that Feral Indie Studios does not organize Zine Quest, Plus One does not organize Zine Quest. Tony, Charlie, Alex, Sam, a bunch of people from the community help organize Zine Month. We do use our corporate infrastructures to help do that, but only at the service of the wider community. And we got a lot of people on tonight, so I think there's a lot of interest in what's going to happen, all that stuff. I know I just rattled off a couple different names, but I did mention I think it'd be good to just start about talking about a little bit more about like who we talk about, the people who are making the decisions for the stuff we're going to talk about. Charlie, who are some of the people that we're talking about? Like you and I are on this, we're faces that people are going to see, but there's going to be lots of other people who are helping support Zine Month, including the entire community really that kind of comes together to make it happen. But we put out a call a little while ago to say who's interested in stepping up and helping organize, plan, have conversations. Who are some of the people who stepped forward to do that?
Yes. So among that, we have Sam Sorensen, also known as Head of GOAT, who has done a lot of publications, including Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the name of it. But
Sea of Sands, Low Life,
that's it. I remembered it had to do with caves.
Downpour. Downpour set feels wrong, but maybe that's it. There's one about the rain.
Yes. A
So
phenomenal graphic designer. Also, one of the moderators for the Zine Month Discord, and has been doing a fantastic job alongside Isabel, also known as Nuclear Obelisk, who is one of the other Discord moderators. And then continuing down the line, as far as the conversation was concerned, Richard Duane, who has published Sherwood, also My Chivalric Romance, Barrow Keep, and one that had to do with fantasy and space, and I am blanking on the name.
Enoch's Wake. You can go check out that
That's
video
it.
on demand over on our YouTube channel. Richard's a good friend of the channel,
Yes.
great New York-based creator, and my driving buddy to Gen Con.
Fair
So,
enough. Well, it's not a fun drive.
it is if you're with Richard. It is. It's great.
Fair enough. And then we have Kyle Tinga of Moria. She has been a very good person to basically get bullet points from and voice from. Also, not Kyle, if you're listening, not to sort of like post you in as a certain, but sort of have you speak on like a wider international sort of level.
Yeah, Kyle is an RPGC creator, right?
Yes. Which, especially moving forward with this Zemo, that is one thing that we very much want to include in it, is make sure that this is an international sort of community. And it's all about like sort of elevating and making sure that everyone across the world who wants to make these scenes and participates in it has the chance to do so. Moving on down the line, we have Marco Serrano, aka Spicy Tuna, who was one of the participants in Zemo last year. They created, I believe it was called Knights of Lazarus, which was a mothership supplement. Then let's see, moving down the line, we have Tony Vacinda, who plus one XP. Alex Coggin, the other half of Feral Indie Studio, who has released many zines, both part of Feral Indie along with their own work. They are also currently putting together the best way I can describe it is a collaborator database. That's going to be sort of a new thing moving forward with Zemo to make sure that writers, artists, graphic designers, promoters have the chance to sort of meet together and at least like get the ball rolling with communications.
We'll talk a little bit more about some of the hopes for that, but that's a huge lift, and I'm super excited to see Alex take it on.
Yes. Once again, we are becoming administrative ghosts this year. And then finally, worth mentioning is Michael Myers, who built the Zemo site, has been maintaining it, and actually owns the server that it runs on. So Michael is a very important part of that. While I'm the one who sort of like updates the site and works within like what little code that I do know, Michael put it together, and Michael's the reason that zinemonth.com exists as it is. So
yeah. Awesome. And we're going to dive into each of those things a little bit more as we go. But again, we wanted to let you know, like, y'all are going to see us. You're not always going to see everybody who's a part of this process. Even with having Kyle on and Marcos on, like, the vast majority of the leadership team are people who live in, like, Philadelphia, New York, general metro areas. So if you're somebody who's like, hey, I'd like to be part of more of these conversations in the future, I'd like to help out behind the scenes, help moderate this, take on a certain part of something you hear tonight, please reach out and let us know. We are always looking for more people who can kind of help lead and speak into those things, because it is intended to be a community event, not something that any one business or brand or individual owns. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as kind of we go through. But in the conversations we started, I think, our big question was, is Zemo happening again? Is it happening again in February? And the entire team got pretty much quickly to the answer. Yeah, of course it is. Of course Zemo is happening again, and it is happening this February. So if you were wondering that, if you were unsure, somebody the other day was like, well, I haven't seen a formal announcement. I was like, well, we did formally announce it in the server, the Discord server, which is a great place to be if you're not, but we did necessarily announce it more broadly than that. So it is happening in February. That is the forever home as long as Zine Month is happening and the current leadership team is connected with it. or organizing team is probably a better word.
Organizing.
Yeah, that's the time frame that we'll be in. And so, if you were wondering, that is when it's happening. But there's a couple other things that aren't changing, right? So Zine Month's going to run same time, February to March. What are some of the other things that we can expect to continue this year, Charlie, for 2023?
So once again, it'll run from February until March. At least that'll be the time that we'll be like sort of opening up the site to. Well, we'll have the site open to submissions before then, but we'll actually start posting them around that time. So, and that should be the time that if you are running a crowdfunding campaign, you should be running it from the times of February, at least until March, unless you're doing some sort of slow funding thing. We're not going to, we're not going to police this in that respect. The other thing that is not technically changing is the website, zinemonth.com. We will be updating it. We'll be giving it like a little bit of a, I don't know, facelift for lack of a better term, but all of the functionality will remain. We might archive some of the older posts and try to make sure that they can at least be at like a hyperlink system. But yeah, the site will remain there, zinemonth.com, along with some like updated information on resources. We will be running workshops. You can find out about them on the Discord. They will be open to everyone.
Yep.
Even if you aren't necessarily running a Zine Month campaign, if you don't feel like you necessarily are ready to start something, although I definitely recommend if you want to make something, go ahead and make it. But those workshops will be open to everyone. The day remains open, and you are free to enter into it. I'll be posting a link to that after this stream. On Twitter and my various other social medias.
Yeah, and Hessen asked, like, should we share the link to the Discord? Anyone can invite anyone into the Discord. The Discord is an open community. Yes. As long as we don't have bad actors in there, we don't have to instill things. So far, we have not. It's over 600 people now. As long as that continues, we'll be able to operate in that mode. If we need to instill some community guidelines, policies, I'm sure we'll see some of that stuff evolve over the course of this year and the coming years. But currently, it is open, and I'll make sure we get a short link for a ttrpg link that we can use for easy reference. It'll probably be like ttrpg.link/Zemo Discord. So it doesn't exist now, but we can make it exist after this stream is done. And so, but yeah, great question there. So workshops will still be available. Those will get posted up in the Discord. There are going to be a couple of changes with that. More so that just +1 is going to take, when I say +1, again, me, but also we're going to take a little bit more direct ownership of just kind of organizing the workshops this year and being a little bit more strategic about they happen at these times on these dates fairly consistently, and building a little bit more of a schema. Last year, since everything was coming together, it was a little bit more of a scattershot, but we did create a workshop thread. So if you have ideas on workshops, go put them in the Discord, because we will be pulling ideas from there for that. But we're trying to think about practical things we didn't hit last year that we can use to kind of build up, and we are going to start those in January this year. So the second week of January, we'll start with things like, how do you build a crowdfunding page and what are some of the essentials that you want on it, right? Things like that will be things that we will be looking at very directly, and we're going to be talking kind of universally, no matter what platform you're using, what are the things that should be on there, right? So we're going to take just a little bit more direct organizational input into those processes rather than just hosting them on the platform. All of those will always be archived on our platform under its own list. There'll be a general Zemo one as well as one just for 2023 as well. And so we did have a couple other things that were staying the same also too, I think.
It's the only things I can really think of off the top of my head. Mostly it's just going to be like, yep, the community is going to be the same. The website's going to be the same.
It's the big one. It's the big one, Charlie.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay. So
that people don't see coming. Everybody in the chat, no one knows right now except for us what you're about to say.
Right. Yeah. It's had to do with the.
Do you want to read? Do you want to read what we wrote down beforehand?
Yeah. What in the
and just in the notes, the way we wrote it.
Jeez. Okay. Well, actually, unfortunately, it's okay. This screen.
I can say it also too if you want.
Go ahead. You say it.
So there's been a lot of back and forth. Originally in 2022, the statement was we were going to allow Kickstarter projects, but that moving forward, we would not be. After a lot of conversation, a lot of looking at what the values of Zine Month are, or the stated goals, which are democratization, decentralization, and education, we realized like we really should not be in a place of trying to police or dictate what platforms different members of our community are using to participate in Zine Month, and that people should be allowed to use the platform that makes the most sense for them, as long as we don't feel like that platform is currently doing active harm on a broader scale that would influence the decentralization or the other things. That democratization piece really kind of spoke strongly to that. So you can use the platform that makes the most sense to you. We, because we are people who believe strongly in decentralization, will always encourage the use of new tools that are not Kickstarter. And people who are not using Kickstarter may end up getting, will end up getting priority when we're making decisions about where and how to publicize, because they are not getting the benefit of Kickstarter's algorithm. But we do recognize that there are some inherent benefits to having Zine Quest happen at the same time as Zine Month, and we're really glad Kickstarter decided to move Zine Quest back to February to coincide with Zine Month. That's last part is my BS response to that. But other platforms have actually shown a lot of interest. Crowdfunding platforms have shown a lot of interest in Zine Month and want to participate in it directly, support it, and very much partner with our community to make sure some of those things happen. We'll talk a little bit more about some of those things, but a continued thing is you can use the platform that makes the most sense to you. And we would encourage you to think about which platforms best represent your values and your needs, and make choices based on that.
Yes, and also to understand, and I'm trying not to get too much into policing here, but understanding that because if a project is doing, let me think of how to word this in a proper way so that my words carry well. Ensure that you're championing the projects that need to be championed, and be very conscious about who you are promoting, who you are, which projects you are uplifting, and which projects you will choose to uplift or, shout out in this upcoming year and years moving forward. So,
and I would consider, even if you are going to use Kickstarter and get the Zine Quest tag, nothing prevents you from primarily using the Zine Month branding and pointing people primarily at Zine Month resources and projects, even if you have the Zine Quest tag. I mean, you could do that. That's a thing you could do if you wanted to. I also will not be doing a project during February. Plus One will be releasing a bunch of direct releases during that month, things that we are partnering with first-time creators to just print, and that is going to be our focus in addition to running content to help support other people. We will not be crowdfunding or doing anything else during the course of the month of February. We just want to support other people, help small creators get their zines into print, and ours will be ready to go the day that the beginning of February, and be sold until they're all gone, I guess, so I'll just say that. And so,
yes, as the old way of making a zine was meant to be.
Correct. Brilliant. Yeah. It says collect all the tags like Infinity Stones. So those are the things that are staying the same essentially, right? There's some big things in there, and even some shifts in some of those. We already kind of teased out some of the two things. Let's go with the fun one first, though.
Yes.
We got a new. You can see it all around us right now. A new Zine Moth has hatched, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the new Zine Moth.
All right, so the design is once again by Alex Coggin. She has gone ahead and made the Zine Moth for this year. I'll be posting that like on Twitter for now, before uploading it as a resource to the main site. We also, through the Feral Indie emailing list, we might be posting some Zine Month resources along with the logo, its black and white version, some of the typefaces, etc., for you to use in your projects. But yeah, cool. There's a new Zine Month.
And in January, probably through January, we talked about this last year. We are going to do it this year. We will run some pre-sales on Zine Month shirts and patches and merch that'll help go to offset the cost that it takes Alex and other people to do the type of work that it does, that goes into that, and go back into kind of taking care of our time that goes into that, as well as helping support all the zines we're going to back during that month. Just FYI,
I just got an itch payout, and I'm going to be using that money.
That's right. So anyways, the new Zine Month is born. If you have an idea on what we should name this one, toss it out. I don't know that we had a name for the one last year. There's in Zine Month.
Zine Month.
But you know, if you got one, hit us with it. We'll pick a cool name if we like it. But yeah, I love the color scheme. The palette turned out great. Very, very excited about all the cool stuff for that. So that's the fun one. Talk to me about, Charlie, this creator database that Alex is going to be putting together, because that's kind of like a big dream in a lot of community organized stuff. It's also a big task. And so tell us a little bit more about kind of what we can expect from that this year and kind of what our hopes are going forward into the future.
All right. So the big one, once again, one of the kind of like, for lack of a better term, guiding principles with Zemo was, one, education, and two, providing people the resources that they need. And one of those resources is networking. That's something that we've sort of like experimented with in the Discord with like just like, self-promo, project directories, even like the production channel for like layout, art, marketing, etc. And this is something that's like a little bit less of, shouting over top of one another. For Discord is great, but it's not exactly the best for like, creating a nice sort of boring spreadsheet, but usable spreadsheet. So something that Alex has been putting together is an actual directory. It will, when you go to the directory, you will actually be given like, a form to fill out if you would like to be part of the directory. That includes what you do, whether that is as an artist, a writer, a graphic designer, editor, etc. Along with some sort of key points that like, help people, sort through this directory. So if you are an artist and you are looking, I say artist just because like, this is what I know. So if you're an artist and you're looking to participate in some zines this year, and you're willing to do like either a revenue share or a payout for your art, you can basically be entered into this directory, and people can get in contact with you for that info. It is not exactly like a fun-looking thing, but it's something that's very important, and it's there to get the ball rolling for people who would like actually like to get in contact with you, or you can get in contact with them, collaborating or creating work. Yeah, and that is something that Alex is putting together. I believe the forms are set up now, and I also believe the database is ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's the beginning of how all that'll work. If it gets bigger, changes more in the future, we'll see all the different places it can go. But the biggest thing is just to start to get people in there. And the great thing is, like, one of the beautiful things about Zine Month, and one of the reasons, like, in addition to all the, let's just politely call them shenanigans of last year, that made me really excited about Zine Month as opposed to other events, as a channel, was really that it is about the community, right? Like it is about saying, how do we take this time and then create enduring tools? Like I did the press kit, like workshop last year, which by the way, if you haven't checked it out yet, go check it out. At ttrpg.link.
You absolutely should if you're listening and you haven't.
It is like one of our highest viewed videos. Like I'm like, you sickos didn't want game reviews. You just wanted videos Discord, about how to make.
And
you can hear me double talking because I just went to go see how many people have viewed it. But it's a lot. It's a lot of views. And so. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely insane how impactful some of the tools. We had Amanda Lee Frank do, just kind of getting started with doing your own art and talking to artists. We had Jared Crater hop on and talk about just basic layout in Affinity, right? So we had a lot of different things, and some of those things we may see replicated a little bit, but our goal really is going to be to try to create new content we didn't cover last year. We'll always want to come back to things because there will be new tools and other pieces going on, but it's just one of those things we want to be conscious consistently of how we can do. Yeah, that one has over 1,000 views on it. 1,000 people have watched that video to learn how to make a press kit from last year, which is a pretty cool thing as well. And so like the getting tools like that out there into the community, talking through how you build a Kickstarter page or a crowdfunding page or a sales page for your itch. Like, it doesn't matter. They all need the same basic information on them, and they're all built in kind of similar ways. And so we want to kind of sit down and talk about that. We want to talk about why you might choose different platforms other than Kickstarters and which ones make the most sense. Crowdfunder, which is actually has, thanks for the follow, Crowdfunder, is in the chat right now. I had a meeting with them last week. They are a 6-month-old crowdfunding platform that's really trying to work with indie comic creators and indie RPGs. They're running an event that they set up to run during Zine Month called Tabletop Nonstop to support creators who want to use it. It's a very cool platform. It's doing some really cool stuff. Not a sales pitch. I've not received any money by them. It literally reminds me of what made me excited about Kickstarter when it started, as well as two big things I will throw out. There is no geo-lock. You can use it anywhere in the world. So if you're in RPGC or Latin America, in a Latin American country, anywhere in the global south, or country that Kickstarter, GameFound, Indiegogo don't serve, all you need is a PayPal account or a Stripe account in order to be able to use it, and you won't get the weird taxation you get from itch. And the money is directly yours, along with the contact information for all the backers. It's giving you the tools you need to be able to do it. I'm very excited about some of the cool stuff that crowdfunders are going to bring forward. And if you were thinking about itch funding, I'd encourage you to take a look at Crowdfunder before you go set up an itch page, because you can use those two things in tandem with each other, but have a lot better of a tool set that's actually doing what you want rather than kind of half-hacking it. But we'll do a workshop on that. We'll probably use Crowdfunder to build out a project also too. So if you want me to help you build your project live during that time, let me know, because I will be looking for somebody to work with to help build that out using Crowdfunder. So there's cool stuff. There's other platforms. There's other places that people can be exploring. It doesn't mean you can't use whatever platform you're going to use, but like tools like that help people make conscious and informed decisions about what's the difference between Crowdfunder and GameFound and Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and why might I choose one versus the other. We want people to be making those decisions intentionally in the community, and looking at tools that move them away from crowdfunding and being able to take care of just releasing their own projects. People have asked for input on fulfillment, other stuff like that. So we will be talking about how you do shipping from home, because I used to ship everything, all of my zines and other people's from home. Charlie's getting ready to ship out a ton of, you want to hold it up? Can you tell people?
That I cannot, but I can say that I've been recently
some books.
But I can say that recently I've been shipping out an enormous amount of Vast in the Dark copies. So yeah, the big advice I can give you is lift with your back. Not lift with your back, your legs. Damn it! Oh.
Crowdfunder, you cannot drop links into the chat, but if you give it to Leon and Leon Discords it over to me, I will drop it in for you. No one can drop links in the chat unless they're a VIP, and I don't know if any of our VIPs are on right now. But yeah, so those are a couple of the big things we're looking at for this year. We're going to see a lot of the same type of stuff. We're going to see a lot of the same great community, a lot of people rallying around to support each other. We'll probably have some people who want to get really deep into the data. But again, we want people to start not to be less concerned about what any one platform is doing. And we really want us as a community to start taking ownership of. We've identified that February is a good time for a lot of us to jump in and make content. This is not a Zine Month official thing, but something you heard me say is I'm not funding a project this year. Something you heard Charlie say, Charlie's not funding a project this year. Something you're going to hear almost every member of our leadership team, though it was not a requirement to be on the leadership team, and it is not a requirement to be on the organizing team. We want to step back. If you're an established creator, you should really ask yourself, is February the best time for me to release a project? Or is it a better time for me to invest in new, small, first, second, third time creators who are just getting their start? Maybe be a stretch goal writer for them, maybe be a contributor for them, maybe just amplify their project. There are about 400 new projects any given February that go in. I think last year there were a little bit less, but not much. It was still in the 300s between between all the different platforms. And that's almost twice what normally goes into crowdfunding in that month. It creates a very noisy environment. So think about whether it's the best time of year for you to be releasing the big important project for you, or whether it's a good time to invest in the community in other ways and maybe be a contributor for a first-time creator who would love to have your support, right? And that's, again, we're not here to police anybody or tell anybody how they have to do what they want to do. These are just some things we've been reflecting on as an organizing team and how we want to come around what's happening. And our real focus being helping the community make really cool stuff. But Zine Month is such a great time for anyone to make a small project. So whether you're an experienced creator, whether it's your first time, we're going to be excited to support you no matter what, right? And so, but just consider those things. Think about those things, and just let us know what you need. If you have any questions, please let us know, because we would love to be able to answer them for you now live. I know I did see one question. Crowdfunder, you're totally fine. You don't need to be worried at all about it. It's just a setting we have to keep weird bots from showing up and dropping all kinds of stuff into our channel. So that's the only reason there is a restriction on the ability to drop links in. But yeah, if we did have one more question I'm going to answer, but if you have more questions, let us know. I'm about to drop a link in to the Tabletop Nonstop event, which is the event that's happening to help support Zine Month creators over on Crowdfunder. If you have, I know that somebody asked the question, can we get this and other videos, like interviews and other stuff like that as podcasts? We've been asked this a lot at Plus One over the last couple of years. Can we get the Zine Month stuff as a podcast? Yes. That takes time and energy. Keegan, who is one of our cult leaders here, they're our content necromancer and cult leader here on Plus One EXP, has a background as an audio engineer, is going to start uploading some stuff. We really want to move Keegan towards being a full-time team member. The best way you can help support that is heading over to our Ko-fi and giving at any level. When we get up to like about $150 a month, that's enough for us to have Keegan consistently uploading at least the interview audio that we're doing, not necessarily the actual plays, but we'll prioritize Zine Month in that. It's not a give us money and we're going to exploit you for Zine Month. It's just a very practical reality of I believe in paying people well when they're doing stuff that builds up our brand, and we want to start moving towards paying Keegan to do that stuff. So if you want podcast versions of Plus One EXP stuff, hit us up on Ko-fi at any level. All the pledges and stuff on there are probably woefully out of date given the state of the last few months, but that is the best way to help make sure that stuff starts happening. And here is that link to the Tabletop Nonstop stuff for Crowdfunder. Let's see. I don't think we have any, just a lot of love for all the people in the channel right now. I mean, like mostly in the chat. They don't care about us, Charlie. They're just excited to be in the chat with each other.
That's good. I would like to remain impartial.
Yeah, like, I'm way more excited about people being excited to hang out with each other than they are about who is up here. And so here's one from Lex. Will there be more search features on the site this time around, like sorting by system or genre? Again, all the organizing team, everybody volunteers their time. And so it's a lot on top of everything else we do. But Charlie, I know you have talked about some improvements to the site. Anything specific that you've thought about within that, or anything that you're kind of considering as you go through that?
The search function is going to be a big one. Once again, I have to talk to Michael about that. And it's, once again, he has a full-time job that is very important that I will not speak on the stream. But if he has the time for it, if it is easy enough to do, or if that is something that I can take on, at least with what limited work that I know in the sort of like back end, yes, we will attempt to put that in if we can. If not, I'll find some way around it. To allow deeper search functions.
And I'll also throw out, if you are somebody who is remotely web savvy and wants to hop in, and that could be how you're contributing to Zemo, like we would love to have people who are helping kind of prep for next year before we hit November, December. And again, but like everybody's a full-time, has a full-time job. Some of us are in the design community, some of us aren't. But Zemo, again, is supposed to be a community event. So if you're somebody who wants to help out with that, we can't have just a million hands in it, but I'm certain there are ways that we can help encourage people who have skills and a vested interest in that if they want to hop in and support it. Absolutely. Map Crow, hey Kyle, good to see you. Glad to have you on with us. Has Kickstarter clarified anything about their crypto plans? We don't work for Kickstarter, but that was one of the things that prompted Zemo, from my recollection. Yes, the things that prompted Zine Month were a lot of great conversations at PAX, but we were already most of the way there by the time we got there, and it was literally both the messing around with the dates and the times for Zine Quest at the very last minute again, once people were already in it, alongside the release of the intent to move to blockchain-based technology, not crypto explicitly, but that is one of the primary reasons that people look to blockchain technology right now. And it clashed with a lot of what Kickstarter presents itself as. I think generally our standpoint is, as an organizing team now, what we're trying to move to is Zine Month is bigger than any platform, right? So like, we're not looking to react. Now there might be platforms in the future because they choose to adopt technology that we find disfavorable, other things like that, that we organizing team might decide to disqualify in different ways. But currently they have that CEO who made those announcements is no longer there, was moved off and moved along. The new CEO isn't any less kind of crypto friendly from a background standpoint. But there have been a lot of shifts. People like Phil Reed and other folks who've stepped into the advisory community. Phil, somebody who I incredibly trust, who's spoken really highly of his experience on the advisory team and how much he does really feel like they are being listened to. Phil's CEO at Steve Jackson Games is not a dummy. So basically it feels like they've pulled back and softened their stance, but they have not refuted it. But very few corporations ever will, and that's never been Kickstarter's MO to be like, whoops, we were wrong. And so Charlie, any additional thoughts on that you want to pop out?
I mean, probably not much more than you've already said, but that being said, it's, we are not going to be policing we are not going to be policing like, how if you would like to do a crowdfunding, or if you would like to just go with a direct release. That being said, you'll certainly hear me get loud and noisy over certain crowdfunding platforms versus others. Or,
as somebody who's going to like Through the Void is funding on Kickstarter this year for a couple different reasons, not because I want to. It's very complex. Anybody who wants to have that private conversation, or a more private conversation than this, because it's also not the focus of this. We could talk about why we're making that choice, but again, it's an intentional choice we're making for this project. We're not moving back to Kickstarter. I still have a largely fuck Kickstarter attitude about most things. I would much rather use crowdfunder, GameFound, invest in other resources and decentralization. For this project, Kickstarter makes the most sense for us at this time. But you'll watch me use it in a very aggressively anti-platform mode. And so this is a great one from Louis Logic. I'd love to just toss this out to chat also too. But for the organizing team, and any members of the organizing team who are watching, you should answer this, but chat generally, you should also, because I saw Richard and some other people are here. What are we most excited about for Zemo 2023? And so I selfishly am very excited about the content. Like, it is what we do. There's a reason we do it. I'm not excited about it because we're so cool. I love, like, the content literally last year was me pestering Charlie and Sam and Bella and Alex about a number of things, but one saying like, hey, what if I ran a workshop on press kits, da-da-da. And then that kicked off, like, that was really good. Could we do more of that? It was a totally community-driven thing. And the excitement about what that is and the way that formed into the value of education for the community was really exciting for me. I'm excited to see that become more systematized, and for us to start early, not just like the week when everybody should be releasing things, be like, oh, press kits also. But getting a little bit of a head start on that, even this stream being in December, getting a head start on starting the conversation around Zine Month and what we're going to be doing during that time. That is, let me think about if there's any projects that I've heard about yet that I'm particularly excited about, or anything else though. Charlie, how about you?
Once again, like, I'm very much looking forward to the zines that get made, like, in part because there was an enormous amount of I almost want to say like avant-garde like style work being made, but much less. I mean that much less so like things that were weird for the sake of weird. Although we did have a lot of that, it was very fantastic. But also stuff that when you have the chance to open this to a international community and you open it up to people that are not necessarily interested in making something that is like specifically financially viable, you get some very interesting art, you get some very interesting titles. And I mean, I had to upload every single one of them to the site, so it was fantastic, like looking through each one of them. So that alongside, I'm also very much interested in the workshops this year, in part because I'm thinking about maybe doing one or two myself.
I'll see if we can get them on the schedule.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
I know, Stu, you're talking about doing them. I'm very excited about those also too. Like, they're two very good takes on how we do art that I think will be really, really helpful for folks. And we're not the same as what we did last year. And so, but yeah, Richard Ruane is in the chat, says the creator database is amazing. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about for this year also. But yeah, if y'all are excited about something, if you have a project that you're going to be putting in Zemo, like tell us about it right now. Happy to give it a shout out. I do know a lot of folks that we're doing content for right now. We're mostly have things coming out that we're looking at in January. I know a couple of Zine Month projects that I don't think I'm supposed to talk about yet because they haven't been announced by those people. One of the other things we have talked about, we did do the hashtag last year, and we'll be using Zemo23 this year. We are talking about also creating some centralized social media platforms for Zine Month that will be used by the organizing team, so that it's not just, hey, check out Feral Indie Studios or Plus One or whoever else, or depending on knowing like 5 different people's individual things, but creating some centralized places we can communicate out from, I think is good. I would love us to see, and I know this is kind of a slippery slope, I'd love for us to look at some sort of mailing list that is separate from any of our mailing lists in the future for just backers and supporters who just want to know about cool projects that we can every week, even if it's 20 of them, be like, here's the list of the 20 projects that dropped this week. Go check them out, right? Like that kind of stuff would be stuff I'd love us to grow into. But also that starts to get into more information, more about like ownership and other stuff. And so we're always kind of weighing those things out in these conversations as we're moving forward also too. So, Louis Logic says, I'm excited to get my name in that directory. And also excited to see the larger community become more collaborative and supportive. Billy Blue is doing ttrpg. It's going to be their first release, but Billy did the art for iToaster and a lot of other great projects that are out or coming out. Yeah, like Billy's phenomenal artist. Derek Blitzer wants to go to Mastodon. We should, Derek. You're right. Derek, send me the best Mastodon for us to go to, and we'll create an account there also too. I don't dislike Mastodon at all. I just hate having another platform we need to be on. And so,
it's
but
I remember who I was having the conversation with, but it was like it's not the first time I've had to hot platforms, and it won't be the last. But Derek, I hate it every time.
Derek, you can't drop links. We've covered this. You can Discord me that link, and I'll drop it. So that's we're about at 45 minutes. It's been a great conversation so far. People are gonna have questions. You might even disagree with some of the choices that we've made, or you might love all of them. I don't know. Like the reality is, as a team, there was a almost 2-hour conversation that then Sam and I, who disagreed about a number of things, stayed on and talked for 3 more hours about. But the great news is, we as an organizing we as an organizing team are very committed to having those conversations, to being in dialogue, to not all agreeing on how all the time, but agreeing on why it is important for us to be creating better community in the indie RPG space and helping advance things forward. So again, we are always very excited about all those different pieces.
I was also going to say, this isn't to get too smarmy, but
get it.
It's we made it to 2 years, and that has been in part because of everybody listening. That has been in part for the over 500 people in the Discord now that I can think of. That, while there are these, like, we call ourselves leadership. Well, the better word would be organizers. And despite that, we are just like a couple of like small cogs in this massive machine that has been community driven, like literally from the start. I remember the conversation started in December and Zemo launched in February. And it was, for lack of a better term, at least in my opinion, like a rousing and phenomenal success. And that is in part because of all these individual actors in it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And again, like it is really great to be in and being part of that community. Like I actively resisted helping be any part of organizing last year, just because A, I have a lot going on, and B, like I end up de facto being the face of things that I'm not actually organizing a lot of the time, and so I dislike that dynamic. But you'll see my face a lot. You'll see Charlie's face. All those team members, Alex, Kyle, Marco, Bella, Sam, Richard. Did I get everybody? Me, you? Is that correct?
Sam, Rich, Kyle, Marco, Tony, Alex, Michael, Isabel. Yep. That's at least. Once again, those are the only
and again, that's not the only people who have contributed, the only people who have given time, any of that kind of stuff. We're excited about all those things, and again, would love to see anyone who's interested in being a part of some of those higher level conversations, or again, helping with the website, helping get the word out, helping build any part of things. If you want to help run social media over on Mastodon, so that we can say, hey, we are going to put things in one spot, but we have 2 or 3 people who are going to help run them out. We're happy to work with people to do that, like to have a team that's helping get that stuff out there so that we've got good coverage across the board, because we as a community live in a lot of different places online. After the G+ diaspora, we never really resettled. With Twitter the way it is right now, we're in even more flux. And so the great thing about Zine Month also is just the Discord being a central place. So I want to just encourage, if you're not there, hop in. It's a great place to be. I want to thank Melee Games for resubscribing. It's been 5 months. Thanks, Melee Games, for your support of the channel as well. Really appreciate that also too. But there's some very cool stuff coming this year. A lot of the focus has been on small increases in improving and refining what we did last year, and really deciding, like, Zine Month is bigger than a single platform, right? Like Zine Month is about what the community does, and us starting to tell platforms, like, if you want to be aligned with the community, that is great, and we are super happy to have you here. If you don't and you want to go off and do your own thing, that is fine. We just won't come play with you if it's not good stuff, right? Like, and so there's a whole lot of that. But again, for those platforms that are excited about this, that are looking forward to encouraging this, we're also super grateful for those conversations also too, and people who are looking to do that. I think that's it. I think that's all we got. Charlie, if people want to find more about you and the stuff that Feral Indie Studio has going on, where's the best place to look for all that stuff?
The best place I can think of would be, right as of now, I'm very active on Twitter. So if you look up Charlie Furgaves, at Charlie Furgaves. You can also just search us, Feral Indie Studio. Currently, we have a itch, and we also have our web store for physical products. We are hoping to expand to an actual blog moving forward, but for now, just find me on Twitter at Charlie Furgaves.
Awesome. We're at +1EXP across everything. We will have a Zine Month account coming soon. It'll probably be something like at Zine Month or at Zine Month RPG. One of the two. We'll find out what's available and what's not. I know somebody's going to go out there and camp on it right now because I just let people know. We will make sure ttrpg.link /Zemo Discord is a link shortly after this. So if you're watching this in the video on demand later on, it should be up by the time that you watch this, if you're not already in that Discord. And yeah, please invite people there. Please be conscious that the people you invite are like cool people, because it's a nice chill server that gets really busy for a couple months and then relaxes also too. Thanks Dice Drinks Drama for gifting that sub to Leon too. Leon, who ran the first ttrpg / tabletop project on crowdfunder. So if you have questions, they are a great person to ask. Raised over 10K over there for theirs also too. And I'm super excited to work more with them, talk a little bit about their stuff. We probably will have them on as we're talking about some of the different platform pieces. We've got a couple of cool things coming up over the next couple of weeks. Next week, it is a lot of holiday streams. We are playing Santicide Squad, which is one part the Italian Job, one part Suicide Squad, one part Christmas Claymation movie. We are playing Bring Me the Head of the Earthwoman Sigourney Weaver because Keegan really wants to. We've got our end of year best games we played in 2023 list. It's just we just had to have played them. Most of them did come out this year, but it's just, as well as the games we played this year that we are anticipating most, or if we haven't played them yet, that we are anticipating most for next year. That'll come from our entire content team. So me, Keegan, Sarah will all be on for that as well. So some fun streams coming up over the next little bit, as well as taking some time for holidays with our family. Whatever, yes, it is the one from Unplay Tested. Whatever holidays you celebrate, whether they have already passed or whether they are still coming up, or if you don't celebrate any at all, I do hope that over the course of the next couple of weeks, you're able to find love and light in the lives of people around you and those you love, and celebrate whatever holidays draw you nearest to the good, the true and beautiful things in your life. But until next month, when we kick into this shit real hardcore, this is like what's happening with Zemo, and we'll see you guys later.
Sounds good.
Bye. Say bye, Charlie.
Goodbye.